In this video, I will guide you how to prepare for your skilled worker visa interview. So this is the requirement which is mentioned in the caseworker guidance. To access this guidance, you go on gov.uk. In the search section, just write skilled worker caseworker guidance. Click search and you will come to this page which will skilled worker caseworker guidance updated 22nd July 2025. Now in this guidance, you can see this is like a whole guidance which explains everything. Like for example, English language, tradable points. So if I click tradable points, if you see any refusal letter, you will be able to see that all these words on the refusal letter are coming from these guidance. Now over here, this is the section where it says genuineness requirement. When you click on this, this says this section explains how to assess the genuineness requirement for skilled workers. Now this is the guidance is for the caseworker. So the person who is taking your interview, he will be asking all these questions. When applying for entry, clearance or permission, you must be satisfied that the applicant genuinely intend to undertake the role described on the certificate of sponsorship COS. Can undertake the role described on the COS, does not intend to undertake employment other than in the role for which they are being sponsored or as otherwise permitted within the conditions of grant. Now what we are talking about over here, that you are allowed to work 20 hours. If you arrive UK on a skilled worker visa, you can work 20 hours in any approved job code. Now this is what they are talking about, but they also wanted to make sure that you won't be working anywhere else or you will be doing any more than hours. So they will ask all these questions in your interview. It further says, to assess this, you may request. Now this is what the Home Office asking the caseworker to do, following these things. To assess this, you may request additional information and evidence. Recently, they have started new thing that they can ask your portfolio. So for example, you say this, that I have worked as a graphic designer or a freelancer and I have created £100,000 on the Upwork. They can ask for the evidence. Whatever you will say, they will ask. So don't bluff, please. And refuse the application if the information or evidence is not provided. You must receive any documents requested at the address given in the request within 10 days of the date the request is made. So as soon the caseworker start deciding on your application, they will send you an email that you need to provide the evidence. They will give you 10 days. If you don't provide them, they will refuse your application. Further, it says the applicant attends an interview and refuse the application if they fail to comply with such request without giving a reasonable explanation. So for example, you are not feeling well. You need to give them a reason within as soon as possible, first of all, and they will take 24 hours, but don't do it on the same day as your interview. If you do that, they will connect and they will refuse your application. The best is, even if you have provided them an excuse, you go online and sit for the interview. Further, it says to make the above assessment, you may consider the applicant's knowledge of the role, relevant experience of the skills needed to do the role. So for example, if it's a graphics designer interview, they can ask you, can you please explain us or tell us what bitmap stand for, what PNG stand for, what is color theory? They can ask these questions. Knowledge of the sponsor in the UK. So for example, where the company is located, what's the postcode, how will you travel to the company, what they will pay you in monthly salary, how much the money will land in your account, how many employees they got, who's the director of the company, how old the company is, explanation of how they were recruited, any other relevant information. Now this is any other relevant information. So for example, they can ask you so you have mentioned that you have a sister in the UK. They can ask her date of birth, her passport details. They can also ask her address, because in the visa application you have mentioned that you have relatives in the UK, and if you have mentioned that you have a sister, then obviously they can ask all the details. So that's why I always say submit your visa application yourself. Further, it says You will not usually need to undertake further checks to establish that these requirements are met. You should ask them to do so only after you have assessed whether the applicant should be refused with the information already available and when. Now, usually what happens, the interview sometime lasts for 1 hour 20 minutes. So what they are trying to do, they have reached up to this level. Now they are not sure that this job is genuine. Then they will start asking these questions. Now, how these questions will look like. So you have concerned individuals, sponsors are assigning unusual large number of CUS for the same type of role. So for example, healthcare worker visa, they have the employer, the same company requested 10 CUS, or UK IT company requested DevOps engineer, 10 DevOps engineer all of a sudden. There are reasonable grounds to suspect the applicant will not be working in the role described on the CUS. So for example, you have mentioned that you are coming UK to work as a property manager. But at the same time, you have also mentioned that I'm planning, once I'm there, I'll open my own business. I know I have done this business, or I'm currently doing this business in my home country and I know how to do this business, and I'm a director in my home country in my company. So that will create obviously why you are coming to UK. Okay. So next one, intelligence suggests applicants are linked to extremism, terrorism, modern slavery, or other illegal activity. Now, for example, Just Eat deliveries. You have mentioned during an interview that I might be, I'm currently a taxi driver as well in my home country, and when I'll come over there, I'll work as a skilled worker visa, but when I'll get chance, I'll do taxis as well, or anything you have mentioned, which so this is what they are trying to do. So my main reason is to show you this guidance, that where this is mentioned. So let me show you this guidance again. Further down, this guidance explains financial requirement. It explains criminal record certificates, changes of employment, when a change of employment application is needed, supplementary and secondary employment. Further in this, they have also mentioned about a settlement. So your qualifying period, it clearly says 5 years. The applicant must have spent continuous 5 years in the UK. Many applicants ask me that, sir, is it changed to 10 years? No, it's not yet, but it will. Let's see when. Knowledge of life in the UK, then sponsorship and salary. So they have explained all these things in this guidance. So that's why I'll recommend you, I'll put this link in the description. Watch this guidance, like go step by step, like this is long guidance, but this is what you need to know. If you know the rules, if you have the knowledge, you can rule anything. But if you don't have the knowledge, it will be a trouble. Remember, knowledge is power. Okay. So they have also provided requesting more information, take a fair proportionate approach to assessment of evidence. Now they have provided this. This is all for the caseworker. When evidence is missing or inadequate, what you have to do. So they have provided this. So for example, they have requested documents and you don't have the documents. Then you should read this. How will you manage? Okay.